Welcome to the Last Chance Saloon, ladies and gentlemen. If you are looking for a championship, you have got to go and win it from here. Today's action, a Grand Prix circuit of the Nurburgring for the FIA F4 cars that are running in your SIMGEAR F4 Summer Challenge. It is your final round of action as we get ourselves set and situated here in the southwest here of Germany as we get ourselves ready for racing action. Two final races, 140 points in the offing, and 3 championships still to be decided here today. The question will be asked in each and every single category: who is going to stand on top and say they are going to be the Summer Challenge champions? So, with that all in mind, we start things off as we tend to do around this place with the qualifying. They've got 35 minutes, but critically, they are split into groups of 3 here with SIMGEAR TV. My name's Jake Sperry, bringing you all of the coverage and action. The first 11 minutes of qualifying is all in the back pocket of those in AM category. You've then got Pro-Am, which goes from minutes 11 to 22, and then the final 13 minutes of the session lies in with your pro category, and each still to be decided. But we start with the easiest of the 3 categories to be decided, which is the AM category, which at this moment in time, Ivaylo Dimitrov sits on top of the championship standings with 298 championship points. That's good enough at the moment to be 8th overall with consistency value, and is a full, I would say, 8 places clear of the next fastest AM category driver. That is Kenny Campos, who is the one trying to make the challenge at 85 points adrift. You got a lot of drivers who are in that range who could fight for the championship here. Valentin Stemenkov at 91 points back. Lazar Keselowski's at 94. Eric Wegereich is at 95 points back. Barrios at 118. You got Radlen Ivanov at 136 and Dimitar Palauzov at 140 points adrift. But the key is this: with 70 points for a race win overall, and this category traditionally scoring the least amount of points out there compared to anyone else, let's just call a spade and say 15th place is what we would say is par for the course for a win in AM category. You're talking about needing points to overhaul, at least 15 points to overhaul the gap. So let's say that there's a finish in last place today of 22 cars running. That's 29 points Ivaylo Dimitrov will be looking to score. It will mean that any driver in AM, Kenny Campos, would need a top 8 finish to keep the championship alive heading to the final round. And then the likes of Stemenkov would need more, Kutsarski would need more. So a lot of help would need to be had on the horizon. There will be no help in terms of the weather here today. It is bone dry and expected to be bone dry for the entirety of the race. So that is in the back of the mind. So for Palauzov, it's quite simple. Finish this first race, or finish any one of the 2 races that are available, and the championship more than likely is going to end up in the back pocket. And Ivaylo Dimitrov has a purple first sector in the back of the mind. There is car number 101, Alex Plamanov, then running the mock-up Stewart livery. And of course, back here in 1999, it was where Stewart Racing got their first and I believe only Grand Prix victory in the Formula 1 World Championship, managing to do so on a day where all the championship contenders ran into troubles. And of course, on that day for Johnny Herbert winning that championship round, it was part of the big basis then for Stewart Racing, for Jaguar to jump in and take control of the Stewart team, which then, of course, after Jaguar became Red Bull, believe it or not. So that team has got a lot of history and heritage that goes along with it. But climbing up the hill through the Falkenbogen goes Ivaylo Dimitrov, and up to the final chicane on the circuit, the Vidal chicanery, using the Grand Prix chicane, which is a lot more tight and twisty compared to the endurance style chicane, which is a fast flick at about 50 kilometers an hour quicker through the Hyundai N corner to end the lap and charge on towards the line. The first times will start populating here, and a 2:01.5 says Vilo Dimitrov is on top. Valentin Stemenkov not a million miles away, at just 1/10 of a second back. Teddy Minev going third fastest over the line in the 1-2-3 machine, 2:02.4, so enough to be 9/10 of a second adrift. And Kenny Campos, a non-representative, 2:07 as he crossed the line. Dimitar Palauzov goes fourth fastest with a 2:02.9, and crossing the line, Alex Plamanov by just 7 thousandths of a second goes to the top of the timing stands as far as AM category goes, but is usurped by the mock-up Renault livery there of Lazar Katsarski, channeling inner demons of 2005, I would have said, with the Fernando Alonso and Giancarlo Fisichella colours that were there. Of course, that wonderful Renault picking up the victory on the behest of one delaminated tyre from one Mr. Kimi Raikkonen on a day in which you could not change your tyres, as were the regulations. So as the tyre delaminated for the McLaren, it was a case of not much you can do about it. Hold on for the final lap. The suspension gave way, the tyre let go, very nearly took Jenson Button out of the race, but ultimately for Kimi Raikkonen, a case of no finish on a day in which it was Fernando Alonso who would pick up the bulk of the points. But as it goes with qualifying, they are thinking about where can they position themselves and where can they manage. It's a 5.15 kilometre circuit here today, so it's a long track, and you're going to get that sense it's long. And there are good places to pass here on this circuit, especially in F4 category machinery. Now, the best place to go and make your pass is up the Falcon Bogen into the Vidal chicanery, but can attack into the opening corner, which sets up the AMG arena. There is a chance to make that run past the Goodyear Spunger into turn number 5 on track, which leads down into the Padgett Racing curve. Now that is a great place you can go and make a pass, or alternatively out to the Goodyear hairpin, up through the Michael Schumacher S, and then for the left-hand 90-degree bend of Xiaomi curve. That is definitely a place where you can go and make a pass. So keep an eye out on those 3 corners out there, the Vidal chicanery, the first corner out on circuit to the AMG arena, the Padgett Racing curve, sorry, that's 4 corners there, and Xiaomi corner. Those are the 4 great places where passes can be made over the course of racing action. But at least right now, Lazar Katsarski has put himself with daylight in the 1:11, 2:01 flat, putting it together. This is Scott Edwards, who I believe last time out did not understand the rules at play, which meant that he had to stop after 11 minutes of qualifying effort, as Edwards crosses the line with a 2:01.8 and goes to 5th fastest in class. So that will be a good job by Scott Edwards, looking to stage hunt today, or as the cool kids seem to call it, aura farm is the way to describe it. So Scott Edwards will be aura farming here, looking for a victory, and will not be getting much luck there, attacking that far wide over the curbs. You've got to be very careful about track limits here around the Nurburgring, and lest we forget with championship points, I say it's 140 on offer. If you're technical about it, it's 146. If you get 0 instant points, there's an extra 2 bonus points per race. So keep that in mind. And on top of that, fastest lap of anybody, and you get yourself an extra bonus point in the back pocket. So it is worth checking in to see who has got the fastest lap compared to anybody else, because it will make a difference by the time we get to the end of racing. So there is that to be discovered and to be found. But right now it's about who is stacking up and saying who's got what. And the question I'd ask between Stemenkov and Plamanov, one of them's going to be Johnny Herbert, the other one is going to be Rubens Barrichello. But charging towards the line will be Dimitar Palauzov, 2:03.5 on that lap, not going to improve on the 202.9, which was laid down as a marker. So ultimately for the off-track racing car, it's not going to be ideal yet, but you could see some drivers deciding to go for cool laps and some others deciding for push laps out there. It's not as simple as, oh, you just set the fastest time going lap after lap after lap after lap. Track temperature is getting hot. It's 41 degrees track temperature here today on an air temp of 22 degrees. So it's getting a little toasty here. Understeer is going to be dramatic, and in an in-sim time of about 10 past 2, you waited till about 3 o'clock before the track temperatures start to dramatically drop down in terms of that heat. So it might be advantage to the AMs as far as qualifying goes, that they have the best conditions out there in qualifying of anybody as it currently stacks up. Valentin Stamenkov in 4th position then, with just under a minute to go before the Hounds unleash in Pro-Am category, and those final times will begin to put themselves on the board. Everybody will wait first and foremost to Dimitar Palauzov, then it's Ivaylo Dimitrov, Kenny Campos, Valentin Stamenkov, Lazar Katsarski, Teddy Minev, Alex Plamanov and Scott Edwards will be the last driver to the line with just half a minute to go. Plamanov picking up an instant point there. That's why the timing tower there on the left-hand side, brought to you by SDK Gaming, then has picked up that there is an off-track there. So that lap will not count. You cannot have an off-track and set a representative qualifying time. It will be wiped out by the iRacing system. So one car will dive into the pits. Dimitar Palauzov then will be allowed an extra lap to go through with that 2:02.7, improving time but not position. Valentin Stamenkov moves to a 2:01.3, goes second with a checkered flag out. Kenny Campos couldn't improve, nor could Lazar Katsarski, nor Alex Plamanov. Leads just to Scott Edwards, who really throws it into the corner, overshoots it after 2 purple sectors to start the lap, and that'll be back down into the pits and done. So Ivaylo Dimitrov's qualifying done in 4th position in class, but Lazar Katsarski is the fastest of them all as far as AM class is concerned. And so to Pro-Am, where the story gets a little bit more tricky as far as the championship condition is concerned. 5 drivers are within, I would say, touching distance of picking up the championship for Pro-Am. The driver they've got to try and usurp is the number 62 Mark Speed Machine. No, not the 62, rather the 54 Mark Speed Machines. We watched the teammate of Joris Ooms, Roy Viveka, out on track. For a driver like Joris Ooms, he sits with 300 championship points. He's 28 points clear of Maxim Dimitrov. So by comparison, let's say an 8th place finish is achieved then by Maxim Dimitrov. That's 45 championship points. He would be able to gain 16 of them out there over Joris Ooms if Ooms finished in 22nd position. So Maxim's probably going to need both races ahead of Joris Ooms by a sizable margin, or to be right up there where there is big increment. 70 points for a race win, 63 for second, and 58 championship points for third. It is then 54 for 4th place, 51 for 5th, 2-point increment down to 10th place with 41, then 1-point increment for every place down after that. So Maxim Dimitrov, 28 points back, needs help. There are mathematical chances for Teodor Ivanov, for Tom Cordy, and for Vladimir Mavrodiev out there. Mavrodiev here today, no such luck for Tom Cordy, who will concede the championship attempt at this juncture of the season. But Teodor Ivanov can make a charge, so can Maxim Dimitrov out there to really make a little bit of nuisance here for Joris Ooms, and it takes one wrong move for this to all go wrong. Into turn 1, out there on track, dropping down the hill, part of the AMG arena, we cut away over to the Pagid Racing curve with Theodor Ivanov. That opening sector, important as he sets a purple first sector. It is a really good start to the lap. It was designed by Herman Tilke as part of the updates in 2003 to this track, which took over from what was being run here in 2002, where it was just a very basic right and left chicane to start the racing lap off. But now, as far as it goes, it is institutionalized, the AMG Arena, for how important it is. The climb up the hill by the two teammates, Vladimir Mavrodiev giving Milan Milchev a little bit of a toe up the order and trying to make things work. In terms of talking numbers here, in terms of what numbers the drivers have with their car number, if you've got a number over 100, so 101 plus, you are in the AM category. From 51 to 100, you are in Pro-Am. And of course, from the number 1, or technically number 0 even, if you want to go to, in order to get to number 50, that is your Pro category in display. Little double take through the corner. Theodor Ivanov hitting the lumps and bumps of the Hyundai N-Curve with 2 purple, make it 3 purple sectors, 2 minutes, 0.5, and goes half a second clear in qualifying. The track has cooled by about 3 degrees to 38 degrees right now with the cloud cover that's come over the circuit. Milan Milchev goes second. Joris Ooms is now in 3rd position on a 2-minute .992, and it's the 919 that is there that says that's good. But Roy Vervaeke brings himself in the mixture, 2 minutes .877, and moves up then to the pointy end and says P2 for me at 0.3 of a second behind Theodor Ivanov, who looks like he's got pace for days here today to make it work. Vladimir Mavrodiev in 6th position overall at the moment, and just leaves Maxim Dimitrov, who is on the other side of the circuit here, to go and find the result needed in qualifying, at least in the halfway stage. Outlap and flying lap done, 2 minutes .3 when he needed it the most. Maxim Dimitrov now moving forward, and with Joris Ooms down in 5th position. If Maxim Dimitrov's got a great turn of pace, and he did a 1:59.9 in practice, it has to be mentioned, I'd look around and say that Maxim Dimitrov could have a really good shot of hunting down 28 championship points, all things said and told. So that is worth a discussion point, as Milchev's got a purple 3rd sector, Theodor Ivanov purple in the 1st sector, green in the 4th, and trying to run down through the gears. 2nd gear, throwing it across the curve. 3rd gear there, mind that curve on the left-hand side. It's raised, it's very easy for the car to bottom out on the plank that they have, the wooden plank that is there to indicate that ride height is being followed. Theodor Ivanov to the line. There's a 2-minute .2 to move on to the top, so there is certainly pace to be had by the bucketful out there at this stage. Joris Ooms moves to a 2-minute .6, a 2-minute .8 for Milan Milchev moves him 0.006 clear of Roy Vervaeke. So some wonderful lap times as they get the tyres into the operating window on those second laps, and Roy Vervaeke jumps up now, passes his teammate and goes 3rd, 2 minutes .586 with that lap time. And Maxim Dimitrov is absolutely flying in the number 56 right now for off-track racing. On the brakes then for the Vidal chicanery, and that uphill braking zone means that you can brake slightly later. 3rd purple sector for Maxim Dimitrov, 155 kilometers an hour, tip it down to 110 through the Hyundai N-Curve and out over the final corner and towards the line. It's going to be a 2-minute .1, and that is good enough to take pole by 0.07 or 0.75 of a second. Brilliant stuff in terms of time, and certainly showcasing that there is dominance to be had out there overall with the Pro-Am division. And speaking of that Pro-Am division, we will touch upon the actions that took place last week in a few moments, because it does pertain to what happens with the Pro category outright at the moment. Theodor Ivanov, who is down 55 championship points at this stage in time, is desperate in the B-Race Academy car to go and scrabble back as many points as possible and find a great word in play. It's going to dive into the pits with about 3 minutes remaining in qualifying, so he'll only have a minute to go get fresh tyres, to go top off the fuel and say, I can go a little bit quicker. Like Joris Ooms, for example, who moves even faster with a 2-minute .374 and up into third position. Roy Vervaeke, green in every sector as Milan Milchev puts a 3/10 of a second away, a 2-minute .518. Then on the board for Milan, Roy Vervaeke, who's looked great over these laps, looks fantastic now, third again, 2 minutes .279, just 300th behind Theodor Ivanov, who will now be out on that final outlap, right behind what Roy Vervaeke, the Belgian driver, can do for Mark Speed Racing. No improvements for Maxime Dimitrov, and Joris Ooms has a yellow first sector out there, indicating this one is not quite as quick as it goes. Vladimir Mavrodiev with a green sector, trying to find those improvements ahead of Lazar Katsarski by about 3/10 would be the ideal port of call, but it's a 2:02 flat for Maxime Dimitrov, so that was very much I lift out of it. I'm not going to go 100% lap. I will go for a big lap then to finish off. Roy Vervaeke has gone into the gravel, so it's not going to improve that much, but coming out then of the Goodyear hairpin out there on track and climbing up the hill. Used to be the Dunlop hairpin, but now they've got a different tyre manufacturer down there. Out to the Schumacher S, and now over to Xiaomi Corner. Left-hand bend, 90 degrees, leads over to Bilstein curve here, which is 100 degrees to the right, and you are always thinking about, am I going to understeer wide into the gravel on the outside? You've got to wait for an eternity to put the power down, and with good reason on a circuit that isn't necessarily the easiest in the world for finding overtakes. It is one where you do have to graft a little bit to find those passes out there. Joris Ooms, though, championship leader in Pro-Am, does not set a time there, but has one more attempt in the back pocket. Mavrodiev and Milchev will also have these attempts to go a little bit quicker. They don't set a lap time there, and Theodor Ivanov will cross the line with about 25 seconds or so, allowing one final attempt. So I'm looking back to see who will be the first to take the checker flag, and I think it will be Maxime Dimitrov here, who is not improving in terms of lap time. So this is a big shock right now for Maxime as Vladimir Mavrodiev moves up in time to a 2-minute .759. Good enough, quick enough, but that track has come down to 36 degrees, so it's dropped 5 degrees over the last 11 minutes, and that is huge. Maxime Dimitrov will not be able to find improvement. Joris Ooms is green in the first sector, and as we go with him right now in car number 54, he's just got to be aggressive around this lap through and slightly missing the inside curb there at the Goodyear hairpin. Now up through the Schumacher S, tries to take maximum amount of road through the first part, over the curb on the inside for the second part, immediately shuffles over to the right-hand side to take Xiaomi Corner here. This fast left-hand bend of 90 degrees, 150 kilometers an hour, drop it down to 140 before climbing back again with Joris Ooms. Behind him right now with 2 yellow sectors and 1 green sector is Milan Milchev. Theodor Ivanov as well is looking good in the number 58 car, which we focus on into Xiaomi Corner right now. We know that your pro division has been sent out to challenge at this point, but Theodor Ivanov runs off the road, and that will be the end of that as far as qualifying has to say for Theodor. Joris Ooms will charge over, wants to improve by 0.2 of a second. It's a 2-minute .380, was short by 600ths on improvement. Roy Vervaeke's got a purple 4th sector out there and could be the difference maker right now, because the likes of Mavrodiev in pit lane, you've got Milan Milchev who doesn't improve. Here comes Roy of the Rovers to the line, and will this be enough to jump up 2 minutes .238? Front row at the moment in Pro-Am ahead of Maxime Dimitrov. That was a great effort to put that time in, And that will say that as far as it goes for your Pro-Am division. And that just leaves the pro category division out there. And of course, a lot of drama that came through last time we were with you 7 days ago over at Alton Park. The contact there, the intentional wrecking by Aleix Casanova onto the likes of Martin Yankov made a sizable shift in the championship, and to the point with an incident like that, Aleix Casanova is disqualified from the final 2 rounds and cannot take part in racing action. What is crucial about this is that the 11 racing squad are not in their totality disqualified from the championship, but they are given the thinnest rope possible here. So for Gonzalo Prieto in this category and Alberto Campos, they will both be turning around and saying anything that goes wrong for them, any agitation out there, they are going to be under a microscope here today as they focus, and with good reason, because Gonzalo Prieto is your championship leader, and the margin at the top is 18 championship points. Now, in theory, there are 6 drivers who could walk away from tonight as the champion of this series and of pro category, but with the amount of drivers we have here today of 22, there is no way that Gian Zautavella, who is not here today, there is no way that Christian Novev can make a challenge, and there is no way that Kevin Aby has enough to go and pick up the championship either. So those 3 out of the hunt, which means it's Prieto versus Yankov versus Chris Vrajolov. It's 18 points between Gonzalo Prieto and Martin Yankov. So a win here today for Martin Yankov, for example, 18 points is the equivalent of 5th place out there. So that's the difference maker that you find as Alex Stefanov sets the initial pace. So 159.826 as Kevin Aby puts a 59.7 down and says he goes even quicker than that. Chris Vrajolov here, 4th position with that qualifying effort, is going to be sitting down and saying 68 championship points behind, is going to need to see both Martin Yankov and Gonzalo Prieto retire from at least one race, you'd feel, to go and gain the points required to win the championship, or at the very least, he's got to take 40 points, or sorry, I'd say at least 34 points out of both drivers each and every single race to the end for the final 2 races. So that is where it goes, and keep an eye on those 0 incident point races and the fastest laps, which are put into play as well. It is something that, as far as I can tell in qualifying, I've got my eyes on instant points, but once the race starts, I've got no way of telling who's got how many instant points and who is on a 0x day. So keep an eye out for drivers who do push wide, make a little bit of contact, and whether those instant points do, in fact, come back to bite. But it's Aby, Stefanov, Prieto, and Vrajolov. Martin Yankov setting a banker lap of a 209.6, so not enough to really make a dent there. That's just to say I can start 21st compared to Christian Novev, who is yet to set a representative flying lap out there. But our focus is with Kevin Aby here, who is stage hunting. In front of him is Murtol Shaheen, who had a wonderful Alton Park in the midst of all of the carnage and chaos that was surrounding out there in the orange Bitcoin car, then running into the final corner and trying to battle with the understeer there, heading towards the line. So there is that for Murtol Shaheen, 2 minutes, 0.1, good enough then to remain into 5th position. Then past Maxim Dimitrov, and so it's all about drivers there. And number 9, Martin Yankov, can only manage 5th with a 2 minute, 0.1. Would love the toe of Alex Stefanov behind him on a 159.8 to bring himself into range out there. The one thing that someone like Martin Yankov cannot afford to do is to allow the initiative to go to Gonzalo Prieto, because if he is anywhere behind him in terms of pace, then Martin Yankov is going to be in for a really tough day. Gonzalo Prieto will be really happy with how qualifying is going at the moment. And now for Swiss driver Kevin Avey, who is stage hunting here today, he will turn around and look at this result and go, I quite like what's going on here. I am in for a big point scoring day. 300ths to the good is by no means safe, but there is still time to take those times away out there. Just the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 in the Pro-Am category division. Just the 6 when it comes to Pro-Am, which means that if you're counting 22 out there, you've got 8 at 6, which is 14, which means another 8 pros looking to make their challenges known out there in the top division. Alberto Campos with a green second sector. Kevin Avey, who we've been on board with for these laps, trying to work the Pirelli tyres right up to the range that they are capable of doing. It's also with a green sector, but it's yellow in sector 4. Gonzalo Prieto is not improving as Murtol Shaheen jumps into the pits. The track has risen again in temperature to 39 degrees Celsius, so it's fluctuating a lot here in the German sun at the moment. Avey crosses 59.9, not good enough to make that improvement, but can someone like Martin Yankov with a purple first sector do enough? 59.895, that will jump Chris Razhalov and put him on the second row with his main title contender and championship leader, Gonzalo Prieto. So that puts Martin Yankov into a really interesting position, that he is only half a tenth of a second off of the pace that's done. Remember, he's got his teammate up there in Alex Stefanov, who can give a lot of help during the course of the race if they need to multi-98 out there, so to speak. Then 9 will be ahead of 8, and Martin Yankov will take those points. Chris Razhalov with a green first sector out there, but he's in a little bit of trouble right now as he tries to work his way through. That's Gonzalo Prieto directly in front, who moves over to the right-hand side, then through the Lisking left over towards the Goodyear hairpin down here at the bottom of the circuit, allows the pass to be made. So Razhalov now chasing, trying to go back up the hill. Yellow in sector number 2. Martin Yankov is green again in sector number 2, which means it's his best sector, but not the session overall best out there, as it is still now a change, because Alex Stefanov has gone to the top, and by not very much at all, 2,000 over Kevin Avey. This is going to be a margin of fine margins out there. You are looking at just a half a blink of an eye is the difference between the top at the moment and continuing to find that challenge. Remember, it is a hard cut when you get to 35 minutes. Such is heat qualifying that they are running with here today, and with 3 minutes to go, they will have one last lap attempt after this. So this will be where everybody's lining up. Razhalov, then you got the 2 Lemon Squad teammates who are together. Campos ahead of Prieto. Then behind that is Yankov, Avey, Stefanov, Novev, who is yet to set a time, and finally Murtol Shaheen, the final car in that train. Martin Yankov with a 59.4 has blown apart in qualifying the times that we have seen. Big qualifying effort there by Martin, knowing that he has got to be at his 100% best here today in order to pick the title up. And he knows it more than anybody else. On with Murtol Shaheen on his final qualifying lap attempt. Off camber is turn 2 through the AMG arena. And then you got this short shoot run, too short to be a straight, too long to be a continuous corner into the left. And there's a double take through the middle of the corner, dealing with a little bit of oversteer. Martin Yankov is purple again through the opening sector, and is proving he is going to be a huge challenge out there. Avey, no improvements. Alberto Campos with a green first sector, but a yellow second sector. Same said for Yankov again, but keep an eye on what Gonzalo Prieto might be able to manage, but he's got no pace, and he will be 4th at best, and that's a key word, at best. Novev, by the way, in 12th. Would love to improve further on what's needed. Kevin Avey not looking like there's improvements. Alex Stefanov currently with the 1-2 for the team. And Alberto Campos, I'm looking around at Chris Radulov. I don't think he's going to be close to improving either. 3 yellow sectors in a row. So right now it's about who's got anything left. Those tyres important. That cloud cover comes over at just the right time to try and cool this circuit a bit more. Up the hill then, out of the Falcon Bogan, into the Vidal chicanery, a missed chicane then by Alberto Campos. Both of them will have to abandon the lap. Martin Yankov then looking for even more of a gap, even more of a statement here, heading towards the line. Is this going to be any form of improvement after that first sector? Answer is no, it won't. Here comes Alex Stefanov, 59.9's not going to cut the mustard, and it leaves Murtol Shaheen and Christian Novev to find improvements. Novev, nothing. Murtol Shaheen crosses the line. 2 minutes, .116 will improve time, but critically not position in that, and that will be that for qualifying. Martin Yankov, when he needed to find his best qualifying form, he is 3/10 clear of everybody out there as it stacks. Magnificent work in that qualifying effort. So, 2 20-minute races now hold themselves on the horizon. The first from where they qualified. Martin Yankov on pole position with Alex Stefanov alongside with Kevin Aby and Gonzalo Prieto, the championship leader, in 4th position. Chris Radulov goes 5th with Murtol Shaheen in 6th and Alberto Campos in 7th. Your leader in Pro-Am is Maxim Dimitrov. He's in 8th with Roy Viveka 9th and Teodor Ivanov 10th. Joris Ohms and Christian Novev, 11th and 12th. Ohms, the leader in category in your in your Pro-Am category. You then got Milan Milchev and Vladimir Mavrodiev with Lazar Katsarski, best of the AMs in qualifying ahead of Valentin Semenkov, Alex Plamanov, Avilo Dimitrov, Scott Edwards, Teddy Minev, Dimitar Palauzov, and Kenny Campos. Avilo Dimitrov is 1 race away from securing the championship, so that is also in the back of his mind if he can find the result that is needed. It is worth noting as well that there is a top 10 invert between races 1 and 2, so that will shake the field up for how they finish in race 1. Murtol Shaheen from the 3rd row looks. Lazar Katsarski mixing a Ferrari livery with a Renault livery out there in terms of Ferrari suit. Everybody knows that they've got to be on their best behavior for this final run through. Waiting on Dimitar Palauzov then, the only driver to keep an eye out on yet who is not on the grid. Once he is, and he's got a good 30 seconds to do so, we will be in racing action. So race 9 here out of 10 at the proverbial home of sim racing here. This is where Sim Expo has been so very critical and important to a number of drivers out there. Kenny Campos has gone off the back of this group now, and that will mean he'll start from the pit. Lights will come on then here from the Nurburgring. Martin Yankov and Alex Stefanov on the front row. We get ourselves underway, and it's a good start from 5th position by Chris Radulov. He'll immediately challenge then against Gonzalo Prieto down into turn number 1. Aby trying to attack and find a way through against Alex Stefanov around the outside. Radulov will lose out. Yankov with a great start. Little bump then to the back of Gonzalo Prieto that goes through by Radulov. Everyone else seems to scarper on through without any dramas at all through the opening couple of corners, except for one at the back. That's Alex Plamanov, who spun around in the mock-up Stewart. So that's where dramas before in the early stages. A clean start by all your championship leaders right now, but immediately it's going to be Prieto on the attack. Can't find a way through at turn 5 as Alex Stefanov holds his station and does so steadily out there without any dramas to speak. So that's your first half of a lap then. Pretty much done as they head to the carousel-esque corner here, which runs up next, which will be that fast, I wouldn't say it's too fast, but still over 100 kilometers an hour through the Goodyear hairpin and back up the hill again as you race to the crest and the summit. So looking back from Gonzalo Prieto, the gap there that he's got to Chris Radulov, it's so critical to stay within drafting range. Your front 4 clear at the moment by a few tenths of a second, and there you can see it. Kenny Campos out then on the opening lap of the race. And so that puts even more ease in play for Ivilo Dimitrov. His nearest rival is out of contention, and all he needs to do is finish, and a championship is his in AM category. Side by side up the hill behind there as Teodor Ivanov was trying to line up Joris Urms, and Urms has found himself a way through for that place. Christian Novev has worked through them as well, and Alberto Campos then sits on the back of Chris Krajilov, just trying to mind his P's and Q's here in the early stages. Now though, we start seeing defence because Kevin Avey is eyeing up that race lead. They move to the middle of the road because it's half defensive. The track narrows in towards turn number 1 here on track. Avey thinks he can throw it around the outside but doesn't have the drive. So the change is there, and quote, car 110 has been sent to pitch due to connection issues. That is the black and orange connection flag in work in this session. It's the first time I've ever seen it in use. So that then for the black and orange connection flag is a case of how do you find a way to get your internet connection stored and stable once more. That's where it is. Defended line then in towards turn 5 and no chance of a move in through turn 6. Behind that, Valentin Stemenkov trying to look around as he knows that he's got Vladimir Mavrodiev in front. Contact there, and that's with Ivilo Dimitrov, who is championship leader. So that was a big mistake by Ivilo down the hill. It will certainly cost him 2 championship points. And Vrajilov then contact with Alberto Campos down the inside, as there was another spin as well for a Marksby car through turn number 1. Didn't quite catch who it was. It was Roy Viveka who went around. So massive moments here on lap 2. First and foremost, we talk about the spin of Roy Viveka. Secondly, Vladimir Mavrodiev getting tagged from behind by Ivilo Dimitrov. The battle going on at the front, and Chris Vrajilov, who had down the inside of him Alberto Campos, threw himself through the corner, tried to get back up and under him, and it didn't work. Kevin Avey, side by side for the race lead. Martin Yankov needs all these points. Avey doesn't care. He's stage hunting and aura farming at this moment, trying to get this result that he wants out there. But Martin Yankov covers his tracks and does a very good job of it at the moment. Keep your eyes on a swivel, because there is no guarantee that this race is going to be anything short of exciting right now as they run down the front stretch towards turn number 1 once again. Alex Stefanov has got to play a defensive pact here and do everything he can to hold up Gonzalo Prieto. They're in 4th position, doing anything and everything to hold him at bay, while Kevin Avey is given license to attack. We'll take a look here at Alex Plamanov on the opening lap of the race. So they're 3 wide going into turn 2, and as he throws the car in, he just throws it in, I think, and overestimates how much grip those cold tyres have of those Pirellis underneath him. And there was the spin. This is Roy Viveka's spin then, as he jumps into the corner right behind his teammate Joris Urms. There's the car behind trying to dive through that. And that might be Maxim Dimitrov there, who's gone in and made that contact. So easily done. I think it's in fact Milan Milchev there. And so Alberto Campos down the inside takes the place. And it's not quite on there from Chris Vrajilov. You can see the intent of what he tried to do, but he just didn't have enough space to make it happen. So he gets caught out, and that's where the dramas are. Alex Stefanov, by the way, is lost out. Gonzalo Prieto down the inside into the Goodyear hairpin and moves up into P3 and is limiting the damage that is being done. If he gets to second, 1-2-1-2. Martin Yankov's got nothing he can do about it. Kevin Avey right now is the driver, looking to try and take the race lead here. Just about 5.5, nearly 6 minutes into this one. Outside line, he will search, and Martin Yankov covers the inside line once again and attacks well through the middle of the corner. But now Avey will look for another good run to the Hyundai N-Curve as he takes a very aggressive line in. Yankov will get a better run off of the exit then of the corner, but now the tow becomes tantamount. 5 at the front because Chris Vrajilov is getting himself along with this group, and now Kevin Avey thinking inside, and Martin Yankov's going to have to let him have it here on the brakes and in towards the opening corner. Just enough room given. And around the outside, it's going to work for Martin now. Avey tries to hold through turn 2. AB now tries to hold for turn 3. He'll get the inside at the 90-degree left to turn 4 if he keeps his nose in, and he does, but there's a pinch on the inside. Yankov leaves just enough room on the exit, and now Gonzalo Prieto might get a run to try and make it 3 wide here for the race lead. They will tiptoe their way to turn 5. Prieto on the inside. AB holds his station and does so well, but now here comes Alex Stefanov straight back, almost side-to-side contact between them as they almost had a tangle of tyres, but Stefanov now looking for the move where it happened. A lap ago, thinks of the inside, door is left, half a jar to the middle of the corner, has a nibble at the left rear tyre of Gonzalo Prieto, but they stay as they are. Alex Stefanov proving to be a nuisance then as he runs on through, but that's fair game between them there because they didn't lose much, but if there was anything hefty in terms of contact, that will cost 2 championship points. AB to the outside of Xiaomi corner, he'll get the inside for Bilstein if he holds it there, and does so. Brajilov has joined, and the way they're fighting, they're allowing drivers back into this group. Yankov loses the race lead, gets a great cutback though, and he gets the help from the train behind, trying to find a way through. Gonzalo Prieto up through the Falcon Boga, no room against Kevin AB. He'll take the bump draft then, up the straight, almost gets turned over the front nose as they go into the corner, they fight for it. Yankov, what brilliance they go through. More contact for Stefanov, he's going to lose the place. Here comes Chris Brajilov now to the inside, he's trying to take third away, and this is sensational stuff at the front of this field. Yankov somehow is trying everything he can to hold this station. Kevin Aby's got to be very, very patient. And look at Stefanov fight to try and take the toe of Brajilov along the straight. Aby back to the inside once again, looking for the move. They all dive down on the brakes, and Kevin Aby now holds his line, but again around the outside. It's power earlier then on the exit from Martin Yankov. This is brilliant. They've spent nearly a lap side by side trying to figure this out between them. Yankov again at turn 3 looking for the clearance, and in through turn 4. This time he'll get dry and will start to move, and Brajilov now brings himself into the party, and he needs to start scoring points here and pulling an advantage here on the likes of Gonzalo Prieto. AB covers the line into the Padgett racing curve, huge lunge down the inside. Gonzalo Prieto eats that for breakfast, lunch and dinner. What a wonderful move that proves to be. Meanwhile, as we look around, Theodor Ivanov is 7th, Joris Ooms is 9th at the moment. That is only a difference of 4 points in the championship then between them, so Ivanov would be 51 points adrift and out of championship contention. Maxim Dimitrov is is now 2 places behind that, down in 11th place at the moment. He's behind his teammate Milan Milchev, so he'd be dropping a further 3 points, and he'd be 31 points back going into the final round. As it stands, penalty points and stewards' decisions being applied later on. It is all about Ivilo Dimitrov's championship. Scott Edwards has category lead, and Roy Viveka, and of course as well Campos trying to work hard. And speaking of working hard, it's Prieto down the inside, and oh no, they all come together. They've all tangled. Top 2 in the championship have come together. Martin Yankov has been turned through the middle, and everyone was having to scatter like rats off a sinking ship as they went up into the Vidal chicanery, and ultimately Yankov slid through the corner, tried to make it. Gonzalo Prieto was trying to avoid it, and Yankov gets turned. I don't think you can call penalty on Prieto for this one, because Martin Yankov was trying to rejoin the circuit. You can see he's overcommitted into the corner. He's trying to gather it back, and over the curb, a slight bit of contact, and Martin Yankov has a black and orange flag, and critically, so too does Chris Vrajilov. And if both of those drivers cannot find a finish here, then Gonzalo Prieto, with a race to spare, is going to be champion. We take another look. Look, he's trying to correct, and now as he goes through the corner, gets a massive influx, maybe a tap as well from behind, and that is disaster, absolute disaster out there. So Vrajilov now has got to try and survive 4 laps, but he's got black and orange mechanical flag damage for that front wing there that's gone through. He had a separate issue out there, and Gonzalo Prieto, I think, has wised up to what's going on with everybody else. Everybody else is in trouble out there. His main two championship rivals are not going to score points because they have to come down into the pits. Dimitar Palauzov, it looks like, has also had a trouble out there on circuit. This is going into turn 3 of the AMG Arena. Oh, he's just tried to trail brake a little bit too much there, and he almost catches Campos out then. Alberto Campos in play, and this is Teddy Minev in the 1, 2, 3 machine up to the Hyundai N-curve then through the final corner. And is there enough room? Oh, he might have pinched down a bit there. And for Teddy Minev, he is put right up over on the merger between the two sections of the track. Now, Gonzalo Prieto is still going to need to keep an eye out on how many points he's dropping there in 5th place in this race. So, for Chris Rajalov, he can't afford to get disqualified. One, that's the issue that you start looking at. The second issue for Chris Rajalov here, in terms of where he's going, is he's maybe trying to get the laps in so that he does classify out there. Remember, he's got to be within 90% race distance in order to get classified for that lap. He's got 4 laps to serve his black and orange mechanical flag, as you've got Martin Yankov in the pits. If Yankov cannot get that car back out and scoring again, he'll be on 0 championship points for this round, and his title charge will be practically over. Remember, minimum point score here today around this circuit of the Nurburgring with 22 drivers is 29 championship points. He's got to be within 41, which means that you'll be looking around and saying any score of 0, pretty much with an 18-point deficit, will put an end to the championship. So it's a race against time for Martin Yankov, and he will keep his eyes peeled. Teodor Ivanov will certainly be trying to rake in the points as he sits behind behind Murtol Shaheen. Behind him is Gonzalo Prieto, who's now fallen back to 7th position, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a little bit of damage on the car, and that front wing looks very second-hand, so he did have a hand with contact with Martin Yankov. Nothing he could do about it in terms of where he was placed and positioned out there in the number 12 Lemon Squad racing car. But he knows he's just got to try and limp it home. Any points are good points at this stage, but will he allow other drivers into this one? You've got a Vilo Dimitrov looking to try and search through. He's still going to battle up into Xiaomi corner here, and this is a big pack of 4. Valentin Stemenkov, Vilo Dimitrov, Teddy Minev, and Alex Plamanov, who, remember, spun on the opening lap. Big moves then as they go through a slowdown penalty potentially with no drive off the exit. Teddy Minev wins out. Alex Plamanov will jump up past Stemenkov, but Vilo Dimitrov knows he can't afford to get tangled up, and for the race lead, Kevin Aby's under threat because there's still a black and orange mechanical flag, and you can't afford to get involved, Chris. Remember, you've got a black and orange mechanical flag. You can't afford to get involved in incidents like this, and if you do, it will be looked at very, very harshly by the stewarding team because you're not supposed to be there with a black and orange mechanical flag. He knows how difficult this is on lap 8. He knows that he's still got a third of the race left to go. It's roughly going to be about 10 laps worth of racing, so he's trying to nurture his way to home, knowing that he'll be maybe just the 1 lap down, and he will score by going as late as he can. With Martin Yankov 2 laps down, it looks like his championship challenge is over unless Gonzalo Prieto runs into troubles. With Prieto in 7th place right now, he will score 47 championship points. He ideally needs a goose egg in order to keep this going, because Prieto, knowing that Chris Rajalov will still score points, he'll look around at where Chris Rajalov is, 68 points back. Any places lost to the likes of Gonzalo Prieto today, it's game over for Chris Rajalov. But for the moment, the focus remains here a little bit further back, because this is Teodor Ivanov who's trying to keep a last-ditch hope of Pro-Am alive and take it to the final round. He wants to wade through, and he wants to do so against Murtol Shaheen for a top 5 position, which would effectively become 4th when Chris Rajalov hits the pits. Alex Stepanov now looking for 3rd against Christian Novev, who started in 12th place and has climbed all the way up to 3rd and has a little hope of victory. Katsarski losing a place to Kamposh out there. I still look around and think there's more than enough in play. And speaking of what's in play, Lazar Katsarski having a little look around with Scott Edwards. This is for lead of AM category with a couple of laps to go. Vrajlov will have to come in at the end of this lap as Alex Stefanov now moves by Christian Novev and plonks his car onto the podium then here in race 9, a dramatic race in the championship. Novev has a little nibble to search down the inside at turn 3. That doesn't get it done as we look at this move again. Alex Stefanov, bread and butter basics, down to the inside, flicking through the gears, dealing with the lumps and bumps that his direct drive wheel will give, and just moves on through. No real harm to that. But Alex Stefanov now to third. Top 2, Vrajlov and Aby, but Aby will get reprieve, and no reprieves here for Alberto Campos, with Scott Edwards now really looking to hunt, and Edwards goes off the circuit and drops AM lead. Easy as that. Lazar Katsarski knew to pick his battle, and now will move himself up into lead of category here at the moment, and Teddy Minev's just gone off the road. Then down the hill towards the Pagid Racing curve. He'll drop 3 places behind Stomenkov, who's just spun in front of him, by the way, as Chris Vrajlov now sitting at just about there and ready to make a move. Will know he's got to come in, but the way he's driving, it's as if he's got no damage. It's clearly something on the floor or something on the rear diffuser that's gone and decided it's not going to work. He's going to battle it side by side as they run up the hill in towards the left and right to the Vidal chicanery. Aby covers off that move. Great drive off the exit, covered off defensive then by Vrajlov, and I think he might be at risk of being disqualified here through the final corner with 1 lap to go. If he's miscounted this, he's going to get a black flag and white stripes across it, which will indicate disqualification. And there it is. Chris Vrajlov didn't know he had a penalty, and he's been disqualified from race number 9 as he now moves down in towards the opening corner and says, there's nothing I can do. He will lunge for it on the final lap and get the move done on Kevin Aby. Aby throws it back, then looking around at it, but Chris Vrajlov officially has the disqualified flag next to his name out there at the moment. It might be that he just picks up time penalty, I don't know, but there he goes. So he's disqualified from the race, which means it's Stefanov versus Novev for second, Murtol Shaheen in third, Teodor Ivanov now is up into 5th position. Now a 4th position with Gonzalo Prieto trying to find a way by. That's Valentin Stomenkov down the hill with that spin, which was mentioned a lap ago, and the dramas and troubles that befell there. But on a dramatic day to start things off, Chris Vrajlov has been disqualified from the race for failing to serve the black and orange mechanical flag. There's your instant points. Only Vladimir Mavrodiev is going to be picking up points out there in terms of that category. And as far as fastest laps go, that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye out on as well. Kevin Aby, for example, a 59.7 is his best. And I'm looking around the order. Gonzalo Prieto, I think, has got that on a 59.6 at this stage in time. So it really gives you sight of where everyone has been putting their best in on the board. They will climb the hill then, and Kevin Aby is just a couple corners away, but we're with Gonzalo Prieto thinking, can I steal a top 5 from Teodor Ivanov? He will have to think better of it as they run to the Hyundai N curve for the final time. Kevin Aby will round the corner, will stage hunt and find glory in race 9. Aby will win the race as they will battle. Second and third is Stefanov and Novev, but to Gonzalo Prieto with a disqualification and a non-finish, it is he who becomes your SIMGEAR F4 Summer Challenge champion with 1 round to spare. Pro-Am is still on, but go back towards the likes of Ivilo Dimitrov, because as he will work with a broken wing, unofficially it has to be said, with the contact that he had there in that race and penalties applying, it is going to be a championship in AM for Ivilo Dimitrov to go and get situated and sorted. Wonderful stuff to see out there. Some hard-fought racing here today. And the best bit is, we've still got 1 race to go, and it is Pro-Am that is the one to manage through. Dimitar Palauzov will limp over towards the line with the scuffing of the front wing there and the front nose cone that has gone along with. We'll get confirmation of result then on your screen. It would be Kevin Aby who wins by 1.9 seconds over Alex Stefanov, with Christian Novev in third position. Murtol Shaheen would finish off fourth ahead of Ted or even of your leading Pro-Am in fifth place, and some vital championship points there. 51 plays 47 to Joris Ooms in seventh place. You then got Gonzalo Prieto sixth, and champion with that sixth, Maxim Dimitrov then ahead of Milen Milchev, Vladimir Mavrodiev in 10th, and Alberto Campos 11th. Lazar Katsarski and Scott Edwards 12th and 13th, with Roy Viveka 14th. Overall, it would then be Vilo Dimitrov and Teddy Minev in play, with Alex Plamanov and Valentin Stamenkov 17th and 18th. Dimitar Palauzov would be your last finisher. One lap down and disqualified would be Chris Radulov. No points on offer for him. Neither for Martin Yankov, who got into contact with Gonzalo Prieto, but Prieto had nowhere to go and no way of avoiding the incident. Kenny Campos with connection issues, your final driver in race number 9. We're going to step aside for one moment, though, here. When it comes to SimGear, we'll be back with race number 2 in your last round of the championship after this. One last race then for this championship. And Vladimir Mavrodiev will be on par with Milan Milchev alongside Maxim Dimitrov and Joris Ohms, your two main contenders for the championship, third and fourth in Pro-Am. Gonzalo Prieto fifth and Teodor Ivanov in sixth. An outside shot with Murtol Shaheen, Christian Novev, Alex Stefanov and Kevin Aby. It's Alberto Campos and Lazar Katsarski, 11th and 12th positions. Then you've got Scott Edwards, Roy Viveka, Avilo Dimitrov, Teddy Minev, Alex Plamanov, Valentin Stamenkov, Dimitar Palauzov, Chris Vrajlov and Martin Yankov trying to charge back, along with Kenny Campos, making your 22 cars for this final race. And the key is this: a top 10 will get the championship done here right now. I look around at the likes of Teodor Ivanov, and the championship is just a little too far away. You will need 51 points, and there aren't that left. Lights on then for the final time as we keep an eye on Pro-Am to end this championship, because it is going to be a case of who has what, and it's a great start then as they go through. Hefty defense. Remember, it's three teammates here: Milchev, Dimitrov, and also as well Mavrodiev, who leads this field. Maxim Dimitrov's going to need all the help in the world, and he'll know that he needs drivers to fall back at the moment, which Joris Ohms is doing for the moment as he drops the place to Murtol Shaheen. And now we'll see that Kevin Aby will want to try and find a way through here as he looks about then, as now they start working through turn 4 and look for drive off the exit of the corners and figure how have we got our best start to the race all sorted. Alex Stefanov and Dimitar Palauzov in troubles on the opening lap of the race, but down the hill they go, in through the Paget Racing curve for the moment. Murtol Shaheen, the driver, under pressure from Christian Novev to try and work a way through to placement with Milchev there. Maxim Dimitrov has seen Gonzalo Prieto dive down the inside. Every place matters. Remember, it's top 10 needed if there are no victories in play for Maxim Dimitrov. Remember, he needs to score 30 more points than Joris Ohms, and Ohms will be looking at a finish, and off the road goes one of the cars there, and that's Maxim Dimitrov, who now drops a massive amount of time and placement, and everybody goes scampering on through. Alex Stefanov, by the way, with a black flag. Horrible for Maxim Dimitrov. Joris Ohms has got Christmas here, and it's come early here in the Summer Challenge. He knows he just needs to survive and stay in position, and the championship is under lock and key. Vladimir Mavrodiev leads. Gonzalo Prieto is in second, and it's Milan Milchev who's currently in third. And now they will line up the Vidal chicanery for the first time in race number 10, and the likes of Katsarski still trying to deal with some side-by-side here with Avilo Dimitrov. We go on board just a little bit further in front. This is on to Maxim Dimitrov then, who looks at Scott Edwards, who is there in front. Teodor Ivanov, Joris Ohms, his main competitor, and Teodor now looking to the inside of the Belgian then to try and sort this pass out. Any moment that goes wrong might be huge as far as this championship is concerned, and through the opening corners, no dramas at all. Teodor Ivanov comfortably picks off the pocket and the move. Kevin Aby on the back of Murtol Shaheen already up into P number 6 out there, with Novev and Milan Milchev proving to be a sticking point to try and get by. At this moment, this is where it all comes into play. Joris Ohms drops a couple places though, and that puts him down to 10th and 11th as now Maxim Dimitrov tries to force 3 wide as now here's Chris Vrajlov trying to work through. Big avoiding action taken then as they dive into these corners. Joris Ohms gets absolutely swamped as he went on by, and all of that was down to running wide at turn 2, leaving opportunity on the table through turn 3, and now he falls back to 13th with Maxim Dimitrov through on Edwards on the inside. Oh, there's contact! Edwards turns around, 1, 2, 3. Joris Ohms stamps on the brakes and avoids it all. Chris Vrajlov getting caught up in all of that, and that's the pitfall that needed to be avoided by Joris Ohms, and he's just about managed it there. How he has been able to have the foresight to jam on the brakes. Brilliant stuff, brilliant driving, and he's able to continue on. There's the tag as they went through. Vrajlov has had no luck at that corner. He's just been too aggressive there in both of the races, which has caused him drama beyond belief as he now looks to try and continue on with this race. And Joris Ohms in 3 wide. There's the contact again from an outside perspective, and Joris Ohms there, you can see through the smokescreen immediately on the brakes, and lucky he wasn't dealt with any more. There's more contact behind him now. Valentin Stemenkov's dropped a rear wing. Teddy Minev has dropped a front wing then, and he'll have to dive into the pits with damage. But meanwhile, as Gonzalo Prieto now leads this race, by the way, he got through on Vladimir Mavrodiev. I would look around and see Milen Milchev under pressure. This for third, down the inside, easy as you like from Christian Novev to pick that pass off. Kevin Aby will be next, then Alberto Campos, Murtol Shaheen, Teodor Ivanov is in this group, and Maxim Dimitrov is fixing to try and gain the places he lost earlier on in this race. And looking around with drivers here, Valentin Stemenkov and co all there in trouble. Zarkat Zarski in the pits, effectively out. Valentin Stemenkov now out of the race, and so we're getting a lot of retirees. Joris Erms, not one of them at the moment, as Teodor Ivanov descending down through the Paget Racing curve, moving along then as Kevin Aby looks like he wants to try and angle a move on Milen Milchev. Milchev defends it, as is his right. Despite being a pro-am battling a pro, he's fighting for points and places, and he'll do everything he can. Door opens up for Campos on the exit. And now we're going to see a really good scrap up the hill through the Michael Schumacher S, which is near enough flat out here with the hill counteracting everything. Now you start thinking about where you go. Avy's on the inside, Campos looking on the outside then to try and pick up the run in the mid part of the corner, wide through Xiaomi curve and over to Bilstein. It will be again around the outside. Kevin Aby doesn't want to be there too often, room given between them, and now they'll charge up through the Falcon Bogan and over towards the circuit once more. Weather, by the way, down to 26 degrees as we are in the late stages of the day here around the Nurburgring, and on the brakes they go. Murtol Shaheen down the inside, can't pick up the pass then, and it's done well on Alberto Campos, but he's all over the grass is Murtol Shaheen. He might have been pushed out a little bit here, and Teodor down the inside, and he will take two, at least for right now. Could be more here, but Murtol Shaheen will pick up a very good run off the exit of the final corner, and now they will pull almost 3 wide into turn 1. They will go 3 wide into here, and it will be Murtol losing out only to Teodor Ivanov. Nothing Alberto Campos can do. He can't get there. Martin Yankov through on a Vilo Dimitrov, and Joris Erms watching behind in 12th position right now, and that 12th place will score him 39 championship points. He knows if there is a way for Maxim Dimitrov to get to the race lead, as unlikely as it is, championship in Pro-Am will change hands, and Dimitrov Palazov has a moment. He's had no luck with turn 3 out there on track. Chris Radulov with the broken rear wing. It's still classified actually as a car that he's allowed to run with at the moment. Not enough for the black and orange mechanical flag, but he'll have no downforce on the rear. He'll have to continue on as Murtol now brings himself some progress and some focus here. Teodor Ivanov is just in front of him in P6. Milen Milchev in front of that. Then Kevin Aby, who's escaped into 4th. Novev trying to think about how he gets by Vladimir Mavrodiev as well for 3rd place. But for the moment, Murtol Shaheen covers off Xiaomi Kerr and now thinks about whether there's going to be another salvo of strikes to go and get by from the Lemon Squad car of Alberto Campos. And now here comes the move on Milen Milchev here, sorry, on Vladimir Mavrodiev. He has to give this one up. Mavrodiev losing out. Christian Novev now full license to attack to go and catch up. Gonzalo Prieto at 1.4 seconds down the road and leading this field as champions elect at this moment. And we say unofficial with this, of course, because the stewards still have to make their final ruling. And side by side now for Vilo Dimitrov, the AM champion, moving by the Pro-Am champion elect at this moment in time. Joris Erms doing just enough work, just enough of a job to make this one his at the moment. Only has to worry about Maxim Dimitrov's performance, and Joris will think about throwing one back down the inside. This is where he's got to tune in with his inner Alain Prost at the moment. He doesn't need to make moves. He's in a championship winning position. He doesn't need to do anything silly. He's just got to find the checkered flag. And Kenny Campos is now officially out, or was out for a moment, it was said, but now finds himself still there, 36 seconds adrift. So it looks like he is dealing still with those connection issues that have been plaguing him all day long. But Murtol, side by side, now figuring out whether he's got enough. Down the inside of Teodor Ivanov. Has he been able to unlock the inside of the Goodyear hairpin? No, is the answer. So again, it allows the groups of drivers in front to break away, and Maxim Dimitrov will be eyeing this up because he needs every position that he can. Campos to the inside it will be. Heading to Xiaomi curve. It's covered by Ivanov. Oh, they go in, and there's the tap and contact. Murtol Shaheen across with it. Big contact between them. Alberto Campos discards the rear wing there off of Murtol Shaheen. And Maxim Dimitrov is able to scamper away once more, avoiding the drama and conflict there. That was just a case of 3 as they went in, and Maxim Dimitrov, I think, gets away with it here with a little bit of netcode there to avoid the contact. There's the secondary hit that goes through. Maxim Dimitrov, I'm looking around at his car, and I think he's just about got away with it. There's the turn in. You're fighting hard. 3 into, what, 2 at best? That's not going to work, sunshine. And so for Murtol Shaheen and for Alberto Campos, at some point you're going to have to let this go. You can see Campos at no point has got the overlap to command that corner. He has to back out in that sort of scenario. And ultimately, that's just driving error in my point of view. So Murtol Shaheen hits the pits. Joris Ooms back up into 10th position. It now does not matter what happens to Maxim Dimitrov. A top 10 for Joris Ooms is more than enough to pick up the Pro-Am category championship, and that is the key to what he hopes to achieve. There is Alberto Campos just in front of him, who is now going to have to try and walk his way through the second half of this race. There is damage to the front right front wing at this moment in time. There's no end plate or anything really. Well, there is an end plate, it's just the end of the front wing, but the main wing itself actually is buckled up at this moment in time, which means Joris Ooms is about to get a very strong run down the hill here. Moves over to the inside, and P9 will now put Joris Ooms into position, and he will look to try and run back up the hill, knowing Alberto Campos will be grabbing onto his tail, going, I've still got a slipstream and a tow, and I very much can go and pick up that place back once again. The Spaniard keeping his eyes peeled and focused, and doing what he can to make this work. Meanwhile, at the front, the gap is 1.5 seconds here between Gonzalo Prieto and Christian Novev. So Prieto hasn't had the luxury of being able to run away in this field. Christian Novev is very much keeping him honest, with Kevin Aby now up into 3rd position, Mavrodiev and Milchev 4th and 5th, with Teodor Ivanov in P number 6. So there are still focuses to be had on who can take the final round of the season, but for the moment it is pretty with Prieto as it goes. Christian Novev in 2nd, and Kevin Aby can only watch on at a 2nd back now. Hitting the brakes, turn 1 down the hill. It's got that big drop when you go through the opening section. You see the reverse of that at turn 2 over in Sepang in Malaysia. Very similar there. Nice catch of oversteer from Kevin Aby in 3rd position, trying to do everything he can to maintain the place, which is put into that position. And Ivilo Dimitrov now looking for a top 10 as the champions-elect of the AM category, as Teodor Ivanov now also keeps his eyes on trying to get to the lead of the Pro-Am division here, with both Milan Milchev and Vladimir Mavrodiev. He was quicker than both of them in race 1 and race 2, and Ivilo Dimitrov here will eye up the Paget Racing curve as a good place to go and make that move. To the outside, he will try and make it happen, but down the hill, it's all about this off the exit, and he gets a great run, and I think he may have even been stymied there because of how slow off the exit Alberto Campos was with the damage. There goes Ivilo Dimitrov to the inside. Does he get the clearance on the exit? Yes! Ivilo to the top 10 and managing that place with a good bit of aplomb to have that pass done. So he knows now he's got 3.5 laps to stave off that charge behind, and then there's Roy Viveka that's there. Campos having a little nibble back to the inside, but Ivilo Dimitrov has none of it, extends the steering out wide a little bit through the corner and maintains the place. So now Roy Viveka joins the party group and starts to bring himself then into position once more. Here comes Roy. to the outside, now turns to the inside up for the Vidal chicanery out of the Falcon Bogan. And on the brakes, this is pretty plain sailing. And Roy Viveka now moves on up and gains that place. Now, speaking of places, Kevin Aby has found his move as Alberto Campos will dive into the pits. He's got the black and orange mechanical flag, that's why. So Kevin Aby now has made his move. He did that on the exit of the Vidal chicanery and was statewide by Christian Novev, and Aby just ruthless, pounced on it. Now there's 2.2 seconds this group behind Gonzalo Prieto, and they know how critical that will be as Teodor Ivanov is in P6, eyeing up P5, and Milan Milchev will be ahead of Vladimir Mavrodiev. So Mavrodiev has lost one place here on this lap. It could be two. Teodor eyeing it up through turn 5. Now thinking about the Padgett Racing curve, turn 6, and down the hill even further to the lowest part of the circuit, and that includes the likes of those that have gone through the Nordschleife. Scott Edwards here, turn 3. It's been a little bit of a sticking point for many a driver. Tiptoes it into the corner. Does he do it power on the exit? Yeah, he's too early on the right foot. And the car just wants to spin the rear tyres around because it's got no rear grip. So easy to be done. And Scott Edwards proving how tough this is. Up the hill then, and thinking about the inside then, goes Teodor Ivanov. No chance of a move into Xiaomi. Thinking about Bilstein as the next place where a pass can be done, and getting the run up the hill. Now here's the sticking point for Teodor Ivanov. Vladimir Mavrodiev's got the draft in front from Milan Milchev. This is not plain sailing. You're not going to get a massive advantage along the straights, and that, I think, will be all you need to know, and then some. Flick through the left and the right, over the curb heavy then goes Vladimir Mavrodiev, tries to cover off the inside, didn't leave enough room to cover it, and Mavrodiev has to give up because Teodor Ivanov is now inside your top 5 and is hunting down 4th position, but this may not be done depending on runs out of that Hyundai N-curve. Here comes Mavrodiev straight back, thinking to the inside, posturing, positioning, but trying to just scare. Gets only a sniff of 5th place once again and doesn't quite manage to make it happen. You can see Teodor Ivanov moves over to the right-hand side. Car right would have been the call for Mavrodiev. He just didn't get far enough along, quick enough there to make that work. So, not much you can say except a very tough move that had to try and be done. Mavrodiev back to 6th position. Teodor Ivanov in good position. Maxim Dimitrov in a bit of a scrap, and so too is Roy Viveka, because Roy wants to take a top 10 away from Ivilo Dimitrov, and he'll get the run to turn 5, and he will get the pass at turn 5 there as he manages that move and has no worries in the Mark Speed machine. He will now scamper on by and see Ivilo Dimitrov then in 10th. But Ivilo isn't done, and there's a reason why he's the AM champion, because he keeps fighting back and he won't get it done. So confirm that move. Roy Viveka then finds that pass, but again kicks up a lot of gravel and a long road to Joris Oems and the likes of Martin Yankov versus Maxim Dimitrov, which is going out there. All drivers will not be scoring any bonus points out there for the incident points, because they've all got one at least at this stage, and no is the answer for the move then as they went on into the corner. And just in front of that, you got this going on, and this is what is for 4th, 5th, 6th, and this is 7th and 8th. Martin Yankov trying to figure it out. Ivilo still doesn't give up through the Falcon Bogan, now hoping that the pass is going to be in position. We pretty much find the final lap of the race, and now through the lefts and rights, nothing again is going to be the response. 2:02 left on the clock. I think we're going for 11 laps here, and that's going to be a little throw in the works for these drivers. I think there's going to be about 3 seconds to go by the time they go through. Lazar Katsarski, by the way, down in the pits, missing a front right tyre. So in terms of his race, it's gone horrifically wrong for what he wanted a good while ago. Oh, and down the inside, oh, Teodor. Oh, Teodor. That is 4th position over Milan Milchev. They're down the inside of turn number 3, and you just know he's been waiting to uncork that. Through 1, opens the door at turn 2, allows his lunge at turn 3. That's a great dive to the inside. to go and make that move. And now he will still have to defend because he's still got progress and focus to be had. It's 1.7 now, the lead gap at the front, but Christian Novev is eyeing up that final spot, that second spot on the podium. It's a race between second and third, and Kevin Aby realizes if Gonzalo Prieto makes any mistake, these are the drivers who can pounce on it. Not close enough at Xiaomi. Look at how aggressive Christian Novev postures over the curb. He now thinks about, can I get enough slip off the exit to put the power down early? Can I find an opportunity to now really ratchet up through the Falcon Bogan? It's uphill to this braking zone. I can throw myself in a lot later than some other heavy braking zones in the world of motorsport and sim racing, but cannot quite get there again. 1.6 the gap at the front, and then again Theodor Ivanov staves off Milan Milchev. Mavrodiev now is going to be under pressure from Martin Yankov because he's through on Maxim Dimitrov and over towards the line. There will be not enough time to get the checkered flag unfurled and waved. One more for Gonzalo Prieto then as he walks his way around this circuit. He crossed with 2.5 seconds in the back pocket for an extra lap, and that's news to the ears of Milan Milchev. Going to the outside, trying to find that move. He pitched very low and needed to move way out to the outside the moment he started hitting the braking zone, because that would have given him the turn-in and the chance for power off of the exit of the corner. So that will have to stay as it is. Martin Yankov looking for late places, and on his own is Joris Ooms at the moment in 9th place, knowing that 9th was good enough in this final race to get the job done and to make sure a prioritised finish will make it work. Ivilo Dimitrov in 11th, we already know, is your AM category leader and champions-elect provisionally. But now down into the Goodyear hairpin, it's Kevin Aby who's holding his defence well against Christian Novev. And back up the hill, they will climb once more. Milan Milchev with a similar gap. Martin Yankov with a similar gap. This is Noah's Ark sim racing of the highest caliber. Yankov's got his move done on Mavrodiev. Moves himself up now into 6th position, but Novev is still trying. Novev is still searching. This move's going to be important. There's the confirmation of the move. Martin Yankov from the back of the field has gone from 21st to 6th here in this race, but now up they go. 1.6 seconds off for your champions-elect. Christian Novev looking for a last gasp move here to get it done. Kevin Aby defends the inside line. Is there going to be enough to get the pass done? They're going to just about squeeze and find a chance. Breathe in, lads. Hyundai N-Curve approaches, but it is as pretty as you like for Gonzalo Prieto, who in the final race of the season as the champion will take the race win. Aby is second, Novev is third. Theodor Ivanov will lead home. Milan Milchev, Martin Yankov and Vladimir Mavrodiev with the likes of those. And to Joris Ooms we must go with a 9th place finish. He did all he needed to do to confirm the points. And Joris Ooms is your SIMGEAR F4 Summer Challenge AM category, or Pro-Am category champion. The likes of Dimitar Palauzov here will scour spin in the final few corners, trying to find that finish and cross the line. So for Dimitar Palauzov, he now knows that he will get himself then home and hosed with just Kenny Kamposh to wait behind that in 15th position. Not the day that Chris Radulov would have been hoping for. He had a very tough time of things through both races, a disqualification and, of course, a 13th place finish, all said and done. Kenny, despite the issues then with the car out there, he has done very well. The internet connection problems, he's overcooked it into the corner, so he'll have to slow down on the slowdown penalty. Just make sure he gets that one put down, and he does so. And he's going to have one corner to go to round out the season for all drivers on this summer challenge. At some points fun, at some points we've seen all sorts go through with the likes of intentional wrecking and the like, but alternatively this has been fun, and that is why we love racing with SimGear. Confirmation then of results, unofficial as all results are until the stewards go through their review. Gonzalo Prieto, 21 minutes and 57 seconds. He made everybody wait with his fast times there, and he will win by 2 seconds over Kevin Aby, with Christian Novev, your last finisher, on the podium. Teodor Ivanov would come home in 4th ahead of Milan Milchev, with Martin Yankov in 6th position ahead of Vladimir Mavrodiev, Maxim Dimitrov, and Joris Ooms, your Pro-Am category champion, in 9th place. Roy Viveka is 10th, with now your Am category champion, Ivilo Dimitrov, in 11th. You then got Alex Stefanov and Chris Vazilov 12th and 13th. It would be Kenny Campos, the last finisher on the leading lap, in 15th, with Teddy Minev 1 lap down, 2 for Alex Plamanov, and retirees Alberto Campos, Scott Edwards, Myrtle Shaheen, Lazar Katsarski, and Valentin Stamenkov making up the field. We are going to take a chance to go over to your SimGear press conference, because we do have at least one driver at the moment waiting to have a chat with us. Kevin Aby, with a very resilient racing double here today, a first and a second. Kevin, you said you had a little bit of love for this place. You said that you had an opportunity to prove what you were worth, and picking up a win and a second certainly goes to show that you certainly got a whole heap of pace to go and make work out there today.
Thank you. Yeah, obviously qualifying didn't really go as I liked. The outlap was quite chaotic. I got hit from behind and had suspension damage from the first lap, so it was quite tricky to even hold the car on track. So I was quite surprised that I still managed to get third in the quali. After it, I just knew I have confidence in the car, confidence in the track. I just have to nail the start, get a good one into turn 1, and then I will go my way. And I did.
Let's talk about what happened then in race number 1, and the critical juncture was with Pareto and Yankov coming together. It looked like everyone had to abandon ship from 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They all decided to miss the chicane, and it proved to be beneficial. What happened between you and Chris that allowed you to escape away from what looked to be a bottleneck?
I just saw that he spins, so I just reacted. I had no plan where to go. I just cut the chicane there. It was a bit annoying because it was my only ink I got in the first race. So I would have got an extra 2 points. But I think in the end, taking the victory is better than ending up in the crash. So I took the ink to avoid it. It happened so fast. I just reacted. It was just intention.
Still, though, 2 really good results here in your SimGear F4 Summer Cup. The next question that comes along in my mind is, are you now looking at the SimGear events and thinking, you know what, I would quite like to do a bit more than just the Summer Challenge and maybe tackle the like of the GT Masters or the like?
I mean, I'm pretty fast in Formula. I think I secured at least third in the Oval Championship now, even though I missed 2 whole races. So I think if I would be here every race, I think I would be fighting around the championship. Yeah, I will see. I'm not really focused on any other championship yet, but we will see how the championship looks and how it fits my schedule. But I definitely I would like to race more in the F4 series for sure.
Kevin Aby there joining us and picking up results then of a first and a second here today. Teodor Ivanov now joins me from the Pro-Am division, and a 5th and a 4th today, Teodor, I think goes down as possibly the best Pro-Am results we've seen all season. What clicked for you around this track?
I think I knew I was fast around this track, but still, I knew that there will be chaos around me. That's why I was taking out 2 races in a row. But still, I tried to make it clean as possible, be fast, and that's it.
It's all you needed out there. But talk us through working through the drivers out there, because it's never an easy feat when you got these reverse grid races. What gave you the ability to move through position on position on position? Because your late moves on Vladimir Mavrodiev and Milan Milchev were absolutely fantastic.
Thank you very much for that. I hope you made fun in the race. The main thing in these races with the reverse grid is the patience, because one mistake can ruin your race. So I learned from my mistakes in the previous races, and I tried to make it as easy as possible. But Vladimir and Lembuchev didn't think of that, so it was very clean, hard racing, so the spectators can enjoy it.
It was a case of a championship that has been known as a summer challenge, a fun cup, some would sometimes say. But for you, how does that feel as a little bit of a breakaway before the next likes of the GT Masters?
As a debut race, I think I was quite fast. I showed my pace. I'm not sure if I'm fast in the GT cars, but still, it's not a known path for me to do it. So, I mean, who knows? I will try my best.
Well, your best is the best you can do, and Teodor Ivanov was the best of the Pro-Ams here today, a 5th and a 4th place finish overall. I would love to speak to Scott Edwards, but he's currently muted and deafened at the moment, so I don't have the opportunity to do so. Kenny, or Buddy Campos, as he likes to be called, here with me right now. Kenny, internet issues, first thing to talk about there, really plaguing your race one.
Yeah, not so good at the start. That got pulled out at least two, maybe three times, 2 or 3 times, and that screwed me over. At least, put me like at least 4 laps down, if I remember correctly, and that was not a good start at all. I had to finish here, at least the first race, if I ever wanted to get any more points.
Well, you walked in with one of the biggest outside shots of anybody when it came to the AM category championship. I think you needed 2 wins and 2 non-finishes at best to see how that went. But in terms of your first foray here, an amateur category championship, you've been the sort of driver who's been personifying, well, finish the race first and let's see what we get. So in terms of how you've constructed the races over the course of the season, do you feel like you've achieved your goals?
I think I have. So, well, I mean, I know I am going to be first, but I think the second place is, or maybe third, depending wherever I'm going to be placed afterwards, is probably good enough at this point.
Well, there are going to be some great points which are there to behold with a 15th place finish there in that race number 2. So as far as things go, are you looking for more F4 action in terms of your next series, or are you open to any and all racing?
I would say any and all racing, including the F4s. I think this is an enjoyable series. I know these people have done so hard just to put this whole series together, and I think they've done so hard, and it showed it right here, where it's good drivers and good racing mostly, and I think I'm looking forward to seeing what else is there coming up for the foreseeable future.
Well, we all wish you the best of luck in whatever race you find yourself going into next. Buddy Campos, so to speak, there. Kenny Campos joining us and getting the result that is needed there. I will try and get Scott Edwards in with an opportunity to talk, but it looks like he is still muted and deafened. Scott, do we have a copy of you, buddy? Oh, this is going to be difficult. I've given him a ping to say, "Come on, can we have a chat?" And the answer is going to be no by the looks of things. So let's call things right here in what has been a very tumultuous season, which has had so much amazing, great sim racing that has been brought together from it here. From all of the work that has been done behind the scenes right now from the likes of Iskren Pondrev. Miroslav has been fantastic as well behind the scenes, working here with SIMGEAR and the F4 Summer Challenge. From all of the drivers and, of course, my name being Jake Sperry. This is a season that when you sit down and look at it, 10 races, the gaps in the championship won't do justice for just how electric the racing was. Never truly a case of one driver being typically dominant, but a little bit of bad luck, a little bit of foul play here and there, and ultimately a championship that needed one small tick here today at the Nurburgring to change. Gonzalo Prieto there with some wonderful defensive driving here today is deserved in terms of winning this championship. But you look around at those as well in the other categories. Joris Ooms, ever the consistent player, gets himself his Pro-Am division. And then as we take a look at Lazar Katsarski in the background, that's what happened to him in that race number 2. We look at Am and what happens with Ivilo Dimitrov, just constantly putting result after result after result on the table. He gets and category honours. And we will see you with your next great racing here when it comes to action with us at SimGear. Bye-bye for now.